But before that, we see a quick little scene showing where Wilf is, which displays his loyalty and care for the vulnerable Doctor extremely well. Considering the fact that Wilf knows this is the biggest threat the universe will ever see, yet he still goes to help the Doctor. God! Wilf is just the best kind of character. Rassilon proves his threat and power instantly, as we see him not even thank the Master for saving them. And seeing the Doctor barely muster the strength to get up was great. It shows even more of that determination due to the fact he went through that massive crash and still won't stop or give up. And I love how in this scene the Master starts off extremely overconfident, not understanding truly what he's done by bringing back the Time Lords. And we for a second think that he might actually succeed with his plan of villainy, considering Rassilon's reaction to the Master's threat. And the dialogue here is extremely well delivered, showing the Master's vainglorious once more and his equal hatred for the Time Lord. And John Sims still nails this bit of instability in his performance here. But he doesn't know the true threat that they became because he left the Time War so early because he was scared. The Master was scared by the war between the Time Lords and the Daleks before the end of it, so we can only imagine how insanely powerful the Time Lords have become now. And he quickly realises how much he's fucked up when he sees Rassilon's gauntlet, seeing as it undoes all of his work instantly. And unlike the last time the Master's work was undone instantly, this time it actually works because it emphasises the danger and power of the Time Lords, and it links back to the line earlier. The Master had no concept of his greater role in events. And if the Time Lords can undo this colossal worldwide catastrophe the Master caused just at the flick of a wrist, we can only begin to imagine how deadly the Time Lord was and how much damage was done. And this also adds onto the stakes of the end of time itself, because we really start to believe more than we already did that they are capable of it. And I'm just saying, the Master Race was that effective of a plan that it literally takes godlike powers to stop the Master. Twice now it's took godly powers to stop the Sim Master's brilliant cunning genius, except only one of them works. I think honestly that's just a testament to how brilliant the Sim Master's plans are. And those short little shots of Rassilon and the Master staring at each other cunningly shows their rivalry brilliantly. Rassilon knowing he ruined the Master's plans of revenge and the Master furious at that. We see more of how brilliantly Timothy Dalton demands all screen presence as he commands all of mankind onto their knees. They don't even know who he is, yet they do it anyway, showing us how much threat Rassilon owns. And the Master seeing these people obey Dalton shows a little bit of envy in his character. Because as much as the Master wants to be a threat and can be a threat for a while, ultimately he will never be seen as grand by the Time Lords or superiors, adding a little bit of more subtle great character moments for the Master. Seriously, with this one, blink and you'll miss it. And honestly, considering that the Master was Anthony Ainley for 10 years, it's not a surprise, to be honest. And this also adds on to the Master trying to stand with the Time Lords and trying to seek approval from them. I'll tell you how that goes later. And then, oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck, oh god, oh fuck! The approach begins! It is returning. Something we've been wondering about since the beginning of part 1 now. And when the Master asks what it is, we see some brilliant aggression in David's performance, showing that he's still not forgiven the Master for his denial of their friendship, and literally trying to kill him because the Master was so wrapped by his obsession and instability. And when the Doctor says they're bringing back Gallifrey, it's so fucking good! The track, The Time Lord's Last Stand, starts picking up as the Doctor shouts, "It's Gallifrey!" And the way how even the Master is scared by Gallifrey being brought back emphasises how terrible the war must have been. And John Sim and David Tennant's acting here is godly! And the visualization of Gallifrey is absolutely magnificent. While most of the times the orange glow is painting a picture of calm, beautiful skies in the brilliant city, this time it's depicted as a dark, glowing hellfire. And clearly, like the Time Lords, it's been corrupted and ruined to its core because of the war. Just like the brilliant visual at the beginning of the Dalek ships showed us. And seeing the panic of the people really emphasises the threat, as well as seeing Sylvia beg the Doctor for help. Something we would expect the least from her due to her and the Doctor's denouncing relationship. This strikes us as a striking image, seeing as one of the nobles is the only one to not run and scream. Sylvia, as she's holding out hope for the Doctor to save the world, and Wilf, because he's the only person running into the battle currently. We even see the Vinvoci retreat from the situation. And while this looks like complete cowardice, what could they actually do? The visual of Rassilon standing tall above all the chaos is a brilliant shot, showing Rassilon is in a position of power. The shots of the Master as well also show us how much Rassilon fucked his victory as we see him low down. This sort of works as a flip image from the Wasteland scene in part 1, with the Doctor standing tall above it all and the Master in ruins. This shot is replicating that as well, with the Master trying to hold on to his victory. But he and the audience know it's been truly squandered, further confirmed by Dalton's evil, dismissive and overpowering glare at the Master. The little scene of Wilf saving someone while an easy detail to forget is such a sad, crucial scene, because it makes for some brilliant shots of Wilf later, and some truly heavy-hitting scenes as well. I love the Doctor's description of the final days of the war because it shows us and tells us so much. It starts off extremely well, where we see the Master trying to not give up, still trying to use some manipulation, showing some great determination to rule, dominate and conquer, much to the disgust of the Doctor as we see him look at the Master with pure spite in his face. And the Doctor's list of things that would come back through if the Time Lot's broken is absolutely marvellous. The Skaro degradation, the Horde of Travesties, the Nightmare Child, the Could Have Been King with his army of meanwhiles and never weres. Oh my god! The amount of mystery and intrigue that is created with this list is immersive. The viewer's imagination is the only limit to interpret what these things could be. And that's what I find so absolutely marvellous about the Time War itself. The fact that we didn't see it, yet we get more and more details told to us throughout watching the revival. And this bombardment of new ideas make the creativity and possible events in the war even more enthralling to think about. And I love how despite all of that, the Master still tries to manipulate the Time Lords and ignore the Doctor.
Just listen, because even the Time Lords can't survive that.
More rage is felt towards the Master here than in any other story because of what he's done, especially after disregarding the offer of friendship before. Rassilon's threat of bringing the end of time itself sends shivers down the spine of the viewers, as Dalton's cold, harsh voice makes these massive events sound so much more dangerous than they already are. The way Timothy Dalton puts extra emphasis on certain words makes his dialogue extra impactful. Truly one of the best actors to grace this show. When the Master realises the Time Lord's ultimate plan, we see more subtle, brilliant acting from John Sim. As we see in his expression more building mistrust of Rassilon, and we can see him pondering on it. And Rassilon's speech on making the Time Lords beings of consciousness alone shows truly how insane, desperate, corrupt and ruined the Time Lords became because of the war. And the Master's expression of realisation and the Doctor's shot of furious grief shows the sharp contrast to how these two are both handling the situation. The Doctor still in vicious bloodlust mode, ready to kill, and the Master still trying to be dubious and manipulate his way around it. Which we then see when we see the most of the Master looking for approval when he asks Rassilon to take him with them, only to be crushed by Rassilon's hatred, calling him diseased. And the Master's reaction to this fucking hurts my soul on so many levels. In this quick little shot of Sim, we see so much conveyed to us, it's fucking incredible! We see his hope of glory fade from his face and replaced with the look of pure rage, as Rassilon admits he was the one who made the Master the way he is. It's similar to Tennant's look of shock to a face of anger at the end of part 1. And I think this one might work even better, because of John Sim's soul-crushing expression being so much more heartbreaking to look at. Creating sympathy for the Master is a very difficult thing to achieve, and this story as a whole does it so many times, it's fucking phenomenal. And the sharp, high-pitched, ear-piercing noise of Rassilon's OP gauntlet is suddenly cut off by the striking sound and visual of the Doctor with a gun. Seeing the Doctor this vicious and with a gun especially is such a striking visual because it's something that we would never expect to see. This war-hardened, battered, bruised doctor standing rage-filled, with kill in his eyes, such a magnificent visual. And the quick shot of Wilfred exemplifies the severity of this. And I love how in the scene we see more of Rassilon's intelligence and manipulation as he tells the Doctor to choose his enemy well. Making this the biggest moral struggle for any Doctor in the entire show. Never has a decision this massive needed to be made before. This is the biggest trial of tribulation the Doctor has ever gone through, and this entire part of the story. Oh my god, it's so good! And the fact we're even seeing the Doctor stand again shows some great hysterical strength. Continuing on, we see the Master attempt to manipulate the Doctor into killing the President, showing more of the Master's cunning nature, but this backfires massively, as we see the Doctor turn around to point the gun at the Master. Holy fuck! This is something that we would never expect to see, with these two especially, because of how caring the Doctor has been towards the Master consistently. But the fact of the matter is, killing the Master would be the bigger benefit in this situation, and it's partially his own fault. If the Master had accepted the Doctor's offer at fixing their relationship before, this predicament could have been avoided completely. The Master let his obsession of needing to know and instability get the better of him so much, that now, the Doctor is threatening him with death. Holy fucking shit! This is amazing! And the Master pointing out that technically killing him would be the better option shows more of him being out of his depth yet cocky. Because you can tell by the look on his face he doesn't consider this a threat in the slightest. And I love how we see the Doctor's confliction of bloodlust in the reaction shot, as it shows him taking into consideration killing the Master as it would be the safer bet to do, and the Master's disregarding before makes him more inclined to do so. Because if we know anything about the 10th Doctor is that he lets his emotions get the better of him constantly, and even though in several points of the story we see him try to be closed off from this, at this point in the story he can't let them get the better of him, as this is a life or death situation, and his decision could choose the fate for the rest of the universe. The Master's cocky nature continues as we see his confrontational approach to this at first. Not in any way trying to stop the Doctor, but continuing to mock him and show off to him and calling him a coward. John Sim absolutely smashes the delivery here as well, showing off the standoffish nature between the two excellently. But the Doctor, still seething with fury, still points the gun at him, showing the Master that he has no leverage in this situation. And we see this from the Master's point of view, as clearly he's shocked that this didn't change the Doctor's mind. The bewilderment on the Master's face truly exemplifies how dangerous the Doctor is in this situation, because usually what we'd expect in a situation of weapons would to be for the Master to win, but this subversion shown here is fucking excellent. The Master is still trying his very, very best to get that said leverage back by telling the Doctor to do it, and it was amazing! His cocky, condescending tone, almost shouting at the Doctor, completely out of fear for his life here, is... it's so good! And the stakes for the Master pick up even further when we get another shot of the rage-filled Doctor staring down the Master. Only for the shot to start focusing on the gun and the Doctor starting to pull the trigger. This puts the audience on the edge of their seat completely because of all that's been established by this story previously. We know that because of how much threat the Time Lords hold, and because of the consistent bullshit the Master has pulled, if the Doctor was to ever directly kill the Master, it would be here. And then we get the shot. The oh so beautiful sacred shot that you've probably seen me use in videos a billion times. And that's because it's John Sim's single greatest bit of acting in his whole career. And that's saying a lot as someone who played Sam Tyler in the best version of Life on Mars. And this is single-handedly some of the greatest acting this show has ever seen. Seeing the Doctor go to kill him, the Master's act of cockiness is fully gone now when you see the fear in his face. Because he himself has encouraged this killing by trying to get leverage, defiling the human race and denying the chance of friendship. And this is the only time we see the Master truly terrified for his life. This little shaking of his head shows us so much about the character and says so much. It tells us that despite all the wrongdoings of this story, that the Master does still care for the Doctor. He still respects their friendship and didn't really want to kill him before. He was just trying to achieve glory in the grand scheme of things and didn't know the severity of the Time War. And this is an apology, and a fucking brilliant one at that. I briefly mentioned in a Series 12 review in a Sacha Master rant that he has absolutely no subtlety, and just think how much less impactful this scene would be if the Master begged for his life and apologised. That would be completely out of character and bad. But this is perfection. This subtle bit of brilliant acting from John Sim, showing the Master's apology yet sign of forgiveness to the Doctor, is the reason that John Sim is the fucking god! He is the best actor, played the Master by fucking light years! Do not even attempt to at me! This scene alone shows and tells us so much about the relationship between these two, better than any other Master and Doctor have ever done. And I like how after that gift from the heavens we get a slight bit of relief when the Master tells the Doctor to kill Rassilon. Not only to spite Rassilon, but to make it out as if he had it planned all along as a sort of "fuck you, I'm superior" to the President. But the insane intensity picks up once more when Rassilon says the killer line.
The final act of your life is murder. But which one of us?
This further boosts the intensity and stakes of seeing the Doctor kill someone. Because we can tell by his vicious rage we've seen in this story that he has a complete lust for killing and isn't going to let anyone stop him until we hear that ever familiar goosebump inducing music and the ambiguous figure appears. Holy fuck! Her appearance could mean so many things in this scene as we see the Doctor completely shocked and saddened by the sight of her alone. Her true identity could be so many people. It's extremely interesting to think of who it is who could get the Doctor out of his rage-filled stance and get him to change his mind. There's clear heavy implication that she is a family member of the Doctor's, and for the longest time I thought she was his mother, but honestly his reaction gives me more of a daughter vibe because of how quick his reaction is to turn back. Because he wouldn't want to kill in front of his daughter. This little scene masterfully pays off this brilliant character who's appeared in both parts of this story, and I'm glad there's been no direct confirmation of who she is. And the gun clicking back to the Master fucking makes everything start rushing. First of all, the Master's reaction once more is fucking brilliant, showing the Master think that he's lost his chance at redemption and is about to be killed. We can almost see him mouthing, "Don't," on the last frame of this scene. It's a detail I hadn't picked up on until this exact viewing, but it adds so much more to the scene. And this dramatic rise in music makes your heart start racing as we see the zoom in happen. On the Master, on the Doctor, on the gun, on Rassilon, on back to the Doctor. Making the audience wonder if for a split second the Doctor is about to go fully rogue and kill the Master. Only for the music to stop on the godly 5 words.
Get out of the way.
Words cannot express how much I want to fucking scream right now. But I won't for now. Mainly for concerns of my health. The Master's reaction to this as well is fucking spectacular. Seeing him turn around, realise what the Doctor's plan is, only for him to turn back still teary-eyed and smile at him before jumping out of the way. I love this smile from the Master as it reconfirms the respect between the two. That little smile and the shake of the head before are the two best subtle scenes for showing the relationship between these two, and it's fucking fantastic! It's such a good way of building it back up. The Doctor's aggression towards Rassilon, essentially saying "fuck you," was so fucking good. And this is the moment where we think it's all over. The several times it's been brought up. It's been in prophecies and has been hinted at for the entire story. The 10th Doctor's life is over. Rassilon screams of rage towards the Doctor, and the Doctor finally accepting defeat again shows some brilliant contrast to death in the Time War. While Rassilon will have to go back to the war and die, the Doctor has already survived the war and has had to suffer for 5 years, and from his point of view, he's lived too long anyway. Implying he didn't wish to survive the war anyway and he's ready to accept death, knowing he died to save the universe. And then it happens. The intensity of thinking the Doctor is going to die stops because the best Master is saving him, and it is It's perfection! It's all perfection! Simmons perfection! Tennant's perfection! Fuck! The Master deciding to kill Rassilon marks so many things, it's a spectacular moment. This additionally marks the fiction of his relationship with the Doctor, because as the Doctor spared his life, he decides to save his in return, repeating the line the Doctor said when he decided to let him live.
Get out of the way.
This is also finally the payoff the Master deserves for having to suffer his entire life with the drums. The never-ending drums that ruined his life, almost ruined his friendship with his closest frenemy, and tortured him for his entire life, and made him into what he is today, so now he can finally get his payback by killing Rassilon. In a spectacular blaze of glory. The visual of the Master slowly killing Rassilon while also slowly killing himself to save the Doctor is fucking golden! And just like what he's had to put up with his entire life, the Master gives him 4 of the strongest strikes, sending him and the Time Lords back into the war. And the track, the Cloud Pass, makes this scene even more satisfying than it has any right to be. Not that I thought that were possible. Easily one of Murray's best pieces, top 5, easily. And the track's name itself, the Cloud Pass, is obviously representative of many things. First of all, the Master and the Doctor's cloudy relationship, the clouds are now passing over it with this current fixing. It also applies to the Earth, because we could say that the Earth has become sort of clouded by the massive Gallifrey looming over it, and that's clearing away now as well because of the Master. It's just such a fucking perfect track and it marks so much, I love it! And the shots of Gallifrey fading away and the Earth being clear of danger satisfyingly cap off the greatest scene in the show's history. The greatest moral decision and challenge the Doctor has ever had to go through, only for him to survive due to the ongoing Master plot and his excellent friendship. Make that one of the greatest scenes to exist ever. Ah, fuck. I'm sorry, I can't prevent it anymore! The entire scene is perfection! Fucking perfection! It keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time! It's enthralling as fuck! Oh my god! And the threats and the stakes are fucking real! They're real! Never again will we have stakes and threats and tension raise as high as this and be paid off in such a satisfying way. And even if they do reach this tension and stakes as high as this, it won't be paid off in a satisfactory way. Not a chance. And the shots of the Doctor show him relieved and happy for the first time in a very long time. The Doctor has earned his happiness after the biggest trial of tribulation he's ever had to go through and still coming out morally on top, and he's so gleeful beyond content. It's impossible to not emphasize with the Doctor here, especially after all the shit he's had to go through. And to see him happy again is truly magnificent. But that said happiness is crushed by the tragic, ruining sound of 4 distant knocks. Wilf was still inside the chamber. We were so enthralled and distracted with the Time Lords, the Master and the Doctor, we forget about Wilf being in the chamber.